What's up, Dragothien? And how are you today?
Hey, doing good. Thanks.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about kingdom versus kingdom, and it had started already. We're in the eve of Crusade. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this?
Well, we're in the 102 continent, and we've got some serious powerhouses in this continent coming into it. We've got Misfits Line Division in 93. We've got White Tigers in 39. We've got K50 and K50. And there's a bunch of other ones 118, 234, 139, I think. I can't remember all of them, to be honest with you, but
Hmm.
it's just a lot of power lines. And then obviously ours with K16. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to have to be some dynamics nailed out beforehand, and yeah, we're going to see how this thing goes.
Now, what is your mindset coming into kingdom versus kingdom before you guys teleport into the Lost Kingdom? What is your mindset here?
It's funny. So the first season, um, there was a little bit of history with the people that you're playing against because they're part of your continent, your original continent,
Hmm.
and they're all the alliances and the kingdoms that are around you, and especially for the ones in the early kingdoms, we've had that history for months and months and months, 7 months, 8 months before KvK started. So when we go into KvK, it was a little personal. This one was a little bit different because it was arranged from a power and a if you won lost kingdom or not standpoint. So going into it, I was a little more open to having conversations about partnering up and just kind of seeing the need for diplomacy, whereas before it was, the personal history between some of these other kingdoms kind of necessitated us to throw our weight around a little bit.
Hmm.
So with this one, I'm looking forward to seeing how the diplomacy piece works with it in conjunction with the battle, because there's going to be battles. There's no doubt about it. There is a little bit of rivalry when it comes to some of these alliances because of how big we all are and because of how much ego is inside of this one continent. I think there's going to be some pretty major battles.
Yeah, that's what I kind of see too. With even not just for your Lost Kingdom matchup, I think for every single matchup is going to be the same because everything's going to be pretty much evened out compared to last time.
Yep.
Funny thing is, when you talk about the history, I actually first started in K14.
Oh, did you?
I would have seen you guys if I have stayed there in K14. Yeah,
I would
back
have
then
seen
with
you.
the King Feeler.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was gonna say
because
I would have seen you sitting in your starting province for 2 months.
it depends. It depends. Depends on how well we've organized there and bring people in because
Yeah,
of the
no,
migration. Migration would have changed a whole lot of things.
it did. It did.
Yeah.
It migration was a little bit weird. It's funny how it worked out, but I think we were actually more powerful during the first season than we are now, just because of the way migration happened and the fact that
Mm,
we're a top 32 kingdom now. We can't get any reinforcements, whereas some of the other top 32 kingdoms already got their reinforcements. So
it's going to be a struggle.
it is. It's going to be a little bit different.
But definitely, diplomacy is going to be one of your key to your victory. Or I don't know how you guys are going to plan it out. You don't need to tell me. But for a kingdom like you guys to succeed, diplomacy is going to be a big role.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's good that with us being a top power alliance or top power. I gotta stop saying alliance. Top power kingdom. We've touched base with a lot of the players and the kingdoms that are inside of our Lost Kingdom, the one before us that JWM's in, and
Mm.
even the ones that are after us, 3, 4, 5 through 10, we've got partnerships and relationships with a lot of the players and the alliances inside of a lot of those kingdoms. So there is some personality to it in the sense that we know a lot of these players that we're going to be going up against, but that also means that there's relationships that we can utilize to do what we need to do to be successful.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So I know that you are going against Chisgul's kingdom, I believe. I don't think you guys are in diplomatic treaty with them. Um, so how do you expect this coming from? How do you kind of like speculate what's going to happen going against one of the bigger kingdoms as well, like the White Tigers, a bigger alliance and well known.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I was referencing before. I mean, we've got so many different power alliances that are legends, really, if you think about it. I mean, the game, when you think of Rise of Kingdom, and if you've been a player for a while, you've heard of White Tigers, you've heard of AOC, you've heard of Misfits and K93, you've heard of JWM, you've heard of IKMB, and CB. You've heard of all of them because they've made a reputation for themselves. With Chisgul, joining White Tigers after his Lost Kingdom in season one, it was a smart move for him, being able, from a content creation standpoint. I know you and I can both kind of understand this from a content creation standpoint, be able to kind of free up his time to power up, to generate content for everybody in the community, and then also be a part of an alliance that's one of the top tier alliances in the game. And luckily for myself, and Ronnie and everybody else here, we've been able to kind of have that, although at an expense, right? We're not White Tigers by any stretch of the imagination. We're about 3 billion power short of that, but I think it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. I'm looking forward to seeing Chisgul on Battlefield. I will say that. We did do an arc together a few weeks ago, and we did end up winning, but that was right after his Lost Kingdom had happened too, so he was having some troop troubles as well. So I'm interested. I'm excited. It's going to be a show for the community for sure. And the fact that we're going to have 3 content creators inside of this Lost Kingdom is going to be pretty special.
So it's going to be very interesting because then, like, per se, something that you can't cover, Roni can cover or Chisgul can cover. So this is going to be a very good balance of content creation in that Lost Kingdom.
Yeah, and it's going to be great because you'll get to see both sides, not to tip your hat.
Yeah. Well, because if you're doing the recording by itself, you're only focused pretty much, on your own content, right? You're not going to get the other other view from the other kingdoms. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm actually looking at your album here. I saw you have a really nice car here. What is this car? I can't see the symbol.
That's an Audi. It's my baby. So it's an Audi S5 Sportback. It just came over from the UK last year, and it's the first year that they sold the Sportback model. So it's got that swept back that kind of meets at the trunk end, and it's basically a hatch, but they call it a Sportsback. But anyway, that's been the tradition over in the European models, is to have the Sportback, whereas we've always had just a generic trunk. We've never had the hatch for those types of vehicles. Very powerful car. Definitely put some money into it, but it's beautiful.
How fast have you driven your car? What is the fastest miles per hour have you gone with this one?
I'll say it was on a track, but it really wasn't. About 140 miles an hour, and
damn,
and that really didn't take long to get to. That was maybe 6 seconds, 5 seconds.
Damn, wow.
It was fast because it's got a dual twin turbo in it. So
damn, we're not sponsored by Audi, by the way, but if they want to, they
can. We should be. For how much I paid for that car.
I could do a test drive for Audi if they want to reach out.
There you go. Absolutely.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, I've never driven that fast. I think I've driven about 100, I think, on the not gonna say on the highway.
Yes.
That was with a Mazda 6.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Try to do that.
Yeah.
With this car, you can accidentally hit 100. And in fact, I don't really get tickets that often, but once I bought this car, the first few months, I tripled my ticket taking ability very quickly.
Oh yeah. So guys, the one people that are viewing this, drive safely. Drive within the speed limit.
That's great. I always tell my kids when they leave the house, I say, drive fast and take chances.
Oh God, you're that kind of dad. So
I know what it is, though.
That's good. So what is the silliest thing you've done in KvK before for the season 1?
Oh my goodness. Oh, KvK. So when I was in KvK the first season, when it was so new, it was like starting to date a new girlfriend, right? Like you came into the new continent and everything was nice and shiny and fresh, and you left K16 behind, but you kind of missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go through the weeks of being in KvK, you start to not think about your original kingdom anymore, and this is your new world. And I will say that there was quite a few things that kind of made me really love KvK in general and just the Lost Kingdom. Taking on multiple kingdoms simultaneously, and really once Zone 5 opened up, and there's tons of videos on my channel, on Ronnie's channel, of us taking on K12, K13, K14, and K11, especially when they were able to come over through a curry, all at the same time. And especially when it first started, it was basically because we had to split our kingdom up to face 4 fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically me and one other power player, along with a lot of our core members that are 30 to 40, 20 million power, basically taking on VNM by ourselves at the very top of the front in Zone 5 in Maka, which is where we were able to start coming in. And then Ronnie was taking care of the southern front where K14 was at with Mikasan. And then we had Pitbull as well, and Aaron on the right side, along with Ronnie as well, kind of hopping between, taking care of K13. So I mean, we had so many fronts to cover. I think just the coordination that we have as a kingdom and as an alliance really kind of showed through there. And obviously the raw power that we've got kind of helped, of course. But I mean, one kingdom versus, and it wasn't even one kingdom, it was one alliance, really one set of family alliances, because the other main family of alliances in our kingdom was taking care of K9, 10, and 11 up on the top of Zone 5. So I mean, we were split, and it was a struggle, but it was fun. Had a ton of fun. We were rallying flags literally nonstop. Got the I got the rally bug very quickly on whenever we were telling each other that we were just going to open to a battle. And within 5 minutes, I was just rallying nonstop for the hours. So
Yeah.
that was definitely the time.
So with that being said, right, but with the amount of effort that you guys have put in and really a lot of time, right? Do you
Mhm.
think that KvK season 2 was too soon?
I don't know if it was too soon. I think that the fact that it's overlapping Osiris League makes it too soon. I actually, it was funny. I did a stream saying I missed KvK, like that was my stream, and literally 2 days later, they announced season 2 of KvK. So I don't know if they were watching my stream and decided, yeah, this is the time, or what. But obviously, I doubt it. But
Sounds like there's favoritism here.
yeah, like there's definitely going on here. Yeah, which I'm okay with. I'll take all kinds of that. But no, like I think that these two events are so. First off, they're so fun, but more importantly, they take a lot of planning to do properly. They take alliances and kingdom planning to
Mm-hmm.
do, and having to split not only your efforts between those two events, but also the same troops that you're using in Osiris League or the KvK. You got to be very careful, and it adds another layer that you've got to deal with. I think that if they would have just went KvK Osiris League, KvK Osiris League, and then adding in other little things here and there too, that would have been better. I think that would have been better.
See, I see the point for that thing that you just you stated, but also in my opinion, I think it's actually a very smart approach from the devs doing it this way, because now you can't just be reckless.
You're absolutely right, and I would also say, the players that spend into the game, and there's different levels of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the players that casually spend, up to the players that buy a couple packs a week or something like that. Like when I say a couple packs, I mean full purchase of the pack. They're probably less likely to be putting the money in to a KvK environment, whereas they may be putting more of their money towards the Osiris League. The heavy spenders, like the Shifties, the Solomon Lion Division, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
plus power players, they're going to be the ones that will still be able to put money into both and not really have a struggle with it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that, like you said, it does add another layer of strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to be very careful with how you spend your troops, because at the end of the day, troops are a resource just like food, wood, stone, and gold are.
Yeah, and there's always a limitation for spenders too, right? You can't buy every, once you buy out max those bundles each day, you can't purchase more. I mean,
Yep.
if you're in a heavy war situation, unless you're a real spender, like maybe Bill Gates playing this game, who knows? He might be here, but you got to be spending gems to train those troops. But that's not efficient.
It's funny. So I don't know if you need to be Bill Gates, but but you definitely need to be a very profitable individual to be able to spend like that. Um, I had the pleasure of playing with a couple players that are like that, and they bought the whole thing out. They bought the VIP shop out, cleaned it out, and then you see them still powering up troops, and you're like, how are you doing that? What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? All they were doing was going to the gem shop and smashing that purchase button and then gemming troops. So I think the thing that you run out the most of is not necessarily gems or anything else, but it's the resources. Resources are what are the true limit of the game.
But you can gem everything.
Yeah, I know, but it costs a lot.
Oh yeah, but that's what you call real spenders, right?
Yeah,
The one that
yeah.
has no limits. Those are the players that you should be afraid of in this game because they're not
Well,
gonna
they don't have
stop.
any fear. Yeah, they don't have any fear. That's the thing. Like I've seen them laugh as alliances have washed up on their city, and they just laugh. They just mash the troop train button,
Now,
and they're back where they were.
now with that topic being talked about right now, I
Yeah.
came to a question: is that do you think the devs or the Lilith games should actually put a cap on that or no? How does
I've
that play into the fairness of the game?
Yeah, I've struggled with that question. So I am a very libertarian individual, and I'm not sure if you or the viewers might know what that means, but um, I live in a capitalist society. I'm not in a socialist or a communist environment. So um, this is a business. At the end of the day, this is a fun game that everybody loves playing and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, too, the developers need to see a return on their investment,
Mm-hmm.
not only from a intellectual standpoint, but a monetary standpoint. And I am very, very hesitant to proclaim to any company that's in the business of making money, which is what any business is in the business of doing, to tell them to limit their ability to make money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live in a everything's fair world. I've profited from that because I understand what that looks like, and I've kind of lived my life with the understanding that there's some things that are going to happen to me or people I know that aren't fair. But I don't want to say we suck it up, but we understand what it is, and we go forward. This game should be no different, in my opinion. Yes, it's probably fair that even me at a 97.5 million power city, I see other players in the game that are 200, 300, 350
Mm-hmm.
million power, and I'm like, holy crap, I could never possibly go up against some of those guys one on one if we were going, city to city. But I also understand that that means that I have a limit, and I need to play within my limits and my rules and what the game gives us and what we're able to do. I don't have to go through that mountain. I can dig under it or go, and I'll still get to my objective. So I mean, it's just you gotta be creative.
That's where the strategy comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the spending, and I think people should be very lucky because this game, we don't see an ads every 5 minutes
Oh,
just so we can play.
well, the verification rewards could probably take a break if I was to be totally honest, but
That's true. Uh,
that's about it.
But with them spending is the one that keeping the game being updated and stuff. Without the spenders, this game would be the same as last year, I guess, because they have to pay their developers to make it exciting. And running the KvK is probably a difficult coding for them, I bet.
Yeah, I'd imagine it is. You're talking about merging servers from a hardware standpoint. I mean, that's my background is networking and all that stuff. So um, it's a undertaking for sure, a hardware as well as a software standpoint.
So, do you think that the length of the KvK is fairly decent this time? Because I believe that it's been reduced.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. The first season, I think, was just over 2 months or right at 2 months, and there was times inside of KVK where it felt like we were back in our home kingdom and just farming. Now, a lot of that had to do with we were able to play and the kingdoms that we were up against. We were able to get a little bit of a lull, but I know other kingdoms that they were they were dawn till dusk fighting every single day, and there was never a break. So
Oh,
it just
yeah.
depends on the kingdom. But that being said, I mean, I think they did shave a little bit of time off it, and I think giving maybe a couple weeks back to the players outside of KvK to recuperate and kind of replenish their resources and replenish their troops is probably beneficial, especially at the end once the ziggurat once the ziggurat is captured and all that stuff's done. Then it's just a matter of waiting for zone 4s to open up, and then it's just a zero fest once
Mm-hmm.
level 4 passes. So I mean, we didn't need all that length of time at the very end. I think we should have just went to the ziggurat, had a week or so of fun with that, and then open up the level 4 passes. Let's have fun for a few days. Go ahead and cut it.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, different approaches, right? Different style. Because like I personally, I enjoyed a little bit of a long time because then I was able to farm. We were also on
Right.
the winning side, so
Right.
it was nice to be able to farm, high level nodes.
Yeah, and I will say this: one thing that I thought about after Lost Kingdom was over with and we were teleported back, especially if we're going to be having the Osiris League and having all these other things. I was putting out to people that would listen, maybe an opportunity to have maybe a weekly event where each kingdom can go into the Lost Kingdom week one day or whatever and do the farming, do the forts, do the barbarians, all that stuff, and maybe make a little bit of a Lord of War kind of event where
That's
top 20 get whatever, and it's just open for that. There's no zeroing, there's no any, just
pure event.
having some fun. Yeah, just having a little bit of fun and doing an event like that where you still get a taste of the Lost Kingdom and you don't have to necessarily risk everything for it.
That's nice. That's really going to increase the activity of the players
I
if
agree.
having pure event. Just no destroying other players. Just pure event. I think
Right.
that's pretty cool. Good idea.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought it'd be pretty good.
Hmm.
I mean, there's obviously, like we just talked about, lots of coding that would go behind that. Maybe that's something that the developers are already looking into. But
Well, that just means that we need these top players to spend more gems into the game
there you
so
go.
that we can supply the devs with the resources that they need.
Well, Ronnie, myself, and the rest of K16 will make sure to make as many players in the Lost Continent of 102 spend as much as possible.
That's good.
How about that?
So, do you have any last statement? I'm going to ask you two questions in here. Okay.
Sure.
Any last statement towards your allies, your
Mhm.
opponents? Any advice to, and second, any advice to the viewers that are going to be watching this for for KvK?
Well, let me start with the second question first. So I'll start with the advice. We just started for the first, I think it was 256 kingdoms or 225. I can't remember, but everybody for the most part for the first half of the kingdoms that are available should be starting their Eve of the Crusade. So make sure you spend a decent chunk in tons of speed ups and things like that, which will help you for the second phase of the Eve of the Crusade, which will be training your troops. So that's where a lot of the events are lost in one. I know they did increase the point count for rallying the forts, which is stage 3. So I'm interested to see how that plays.
Yeah.
But I know the last Lost Kingdom we had, there was hundreds of millions of points just on the first day of the troop training portion. So let's see how let's see how it goes and see how that plays into the fort stuff to see if some of the lower kingdoms that don't have as many spenders put good points into the either the Crusade top 3 damage buffs for Lost Kingdom. The other advice I would have: save every action point and every gem that you can in the event. When you're rebuilding your Crusader fort inside of your main province,
Mm-hmm.
you have to save that stuff to not only complete stage 2 so that you can get to stage 3, which is trading in your unused sculptures, but more importantly, when you're doing stage 2, focus on that because that's where you're going to get a lot of action points, speed ups, a lot of gold, a lot of keys. I mean, everything that you want in this game, stage 2 provides you when you're rebuilding that, and you're going to need a lot of those different resources to compete in the overall Lost Kingdom event to get the whatever the skin is going to be for this event. And then finally, again, maintain your troops. So if you're a T5 player, and I know that on my channel I do see a lot of T5 players because I'm one, um, you know, make sure that you've got T4 as throwaway.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's very important and something I did not adhere to whenever I did season 1 because I didn't have enough T4. Now I know how many T4 I could possibly need to use and spend. So I'm going to make sure that I try and have as many T rallies and defense and things like that, because I threw away way too many T5.
Expensive.
Yes, and it was very expensive. And then finally, again, just make sure that you're keeping accounts active. Resources, like I said before, to be the limiting factor in a lot of these engagements. You need to make sure that you have as many resources piled across as many accounts as possible. To the first question.
Now, hold on. Before we go to the first question, how much gems are we going to expect from you for Past Glory Stage 2?
So I've talked to other players that are spenders like me. I've talked to other players that are a lot higher spender than me. I've heard 500,000 gems around regularly. Players that spend like me will probably be in the 200 to 200 in gems getting spent, because the amount of action points that you get from that stage is insane. And that's one thing that each spender, you cannot buy unlimited amounts of.
Yeah.
The only opportunity to get it. And this is what really is going to be needed to win that skin, is action points. So
now, how much? I don't remember, but how much gems did you spend last season?
Oh man, I don't even.
for that event, for the Past Glory, did you record?
So well, that's the thing, right? So the season 1 was so new, nobody knew anything about it. I didn't really put that many gems in because I didn't see the value in it until it was too late.
I see.
I might have put maybe 100K into it, maybe 75K towards the end, once I saw, hey, this is be the thing. But now that we've been through a full season and we know where we can get our resources that we're going to need from, I'm going to be putting quite a bit into that second stage, just to get as much as I can for not only myself but also for the kingdom.
So the viewers have to make sure to check your channel out whenever you do that dump of gems, and I have to check it out, because then I'll have to beat whatever gems you put in if I can.
Well, then now you're raising my number up, because I can't let that happen.
Okay, so let's go to the question number 1.
Okay. So question 1 was, what do I have to say for my allies and for my enemies that are going to be happening in the Lost Kingdom Season 2. So to be honest with you, we're still kind of formulating both sides of that coin. I think that whoever ends up being on the side that we're going to be on, I think that we all have strategy in mind. We've all got a relationship that spans before this Lost Kingdom even started. So I think we're going to be in a really strategic advantage not only from a raw power and a strategy standpoint, but also just the way that we operate. We're able to be autonomous. So when we have a task, or when we have something to go take care of, it just gets done. And then I think just the words "I'm sorry" is what's going to have to be my comment to the folks that we end up going against. I mean, there's not really much else to say. I hope I hope that we all have fun and we keep it, with high sportsmanship and things like that. But I'm not one that is keen on losing. That's not a thing that I like to do. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm going to be the first one to say good game played. But at the same time, if you tick me off, it's going down.
So I kind of just hope that, not just for your Lost Kingdom, I just hope for every Lost Kingdom is going to happen, is that don't take things personally, right? This is a video game at the end of the day. We're here to have fun.
Exactly right. Yep.
Awesome. So don't forget to check out Dragothien's channel. There will be a link down in the description below. Make sure to check him out and just support him as well. And thank you so much for this interview, Dragothien. It was very fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the chat. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. See you guys.
Take care.